There are two overarching ways your life can change, and from my experience, they seem to almost feel like opposites. We all want change, even though sometimes it can be scary or it can be met with resistance. At the end of the day, it's human nature to want more. So if you're looking for change this year, be aware of these two ways it can happen to you. Welcome to the It's a Vibe podcast. I'm your host, Pavika. Thanks for being here. Let's get into it. I want to put this into perspective for you, so I'm going to share the story of how my life changed forever, and I'll show you the two examples of how that change came to be and how it can happen for you too. A few years ago, I was at a point in my life where I was in a huge transition period. I graduated school in Canada, and then I moved to Australia to teach for 1 year. And when I came back to Canada, I felt really lost. I had known that in school teaching just wasn't what I wanted to do forever, and I was looking for my thing, what I was meant to do, my purpose, especially now that I was back home and settled. But what I came home to was really, really difficult. Both my parents were sick. I had gone through my first real heartbreak. I had no job, not much money, and I was really struggling. It seemed like everything kind of fell apart all at once, and I was looking for a way out. You know that feeling where you just don't know which way is up? It's like you got lost in a wave, or you're falling through this black hole and you just can't see the light. That's how I felt, and I've never really had that feeling before in my life. And what I had realized at that time was I was never prepared for this. I don't think any of us really get prepared for this. I was never taught how to actually work through life's problems, how to deal with a heartbreak or any type of internal pain, how to truly be healthy, and how to help my parents be healthy, how to figure out my calling, how to get out of my head, how to calm my mind, how to deal with all my emotions. We weren't taught any of this in school. And it really hit me that if I wanted to feel better or get my life together, it had to come from me. It had to be me. I had to be the one who did it and make that change. And so I started looking into it. My life honestly really wasn't that bad. Like over time, my parents got better. I found a job. I made some money, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life or how to deal with all this stuff going on inside of me. And I got really curious as to how other people did it. How are there people that are so successful and happy and healthy and living their best lives? Like, how did they do it? What am I missing? And then on top of that, how do other people overcome obstacles? There are people in the world who have trauma and hardships 1,000,000 times worse than I had, and they survived. And not only that, some of them found a way to thrive. So how? And why not me? Where can I learn this and apply this to my life? Especially because I was educated and I felt like I went to school, I got a degree, I got a good job, like I did all the things that everyone said I should do to be happy and live a good life, but something was missing. I was looking for change in a good way. And that's how it starts. If you have a deep desire for change, it'll find a way to you. And so in that moment, as I was looking for something, I started to read books. I picked up my first personal development book ever, and I really wasn't a reader. I read a little bit, but I never read any sort of self-help book. And so as I was reading this book, it blew my mind. The info in that book was amazing. I couldn't believe what I was reading. It was just so useful and so well thought out and so applicable to what I was going through. The book was called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. Definitely recommend. And so something that stuck out to me that he said in the book was, if you want to be happy, which of course I did, hold a cheerful expression. You can't help but be happy if you have a cheerful expression. So I wrote that down in my journal and I put a big box around it. Cheerful expression. It really stuck out to me. And at the time I was working as a supply teacher. So every single day before work, before I walked into that school, before I walked into every single class I had, I would remind myself, have a cheerful expression. And so I literally walked around school all day with this big goofy smile on my face. I held that cheerful expression. And the most amazing things started to happen. I was having such good days, especially compared to how I was feeling before with all that stuff going on. But I just started to feel so much better. And so one night, in the middle of all this, I was hanging out in my room just before I went to bed. And I had this random urge all of a sudden to listen to a podcast, which I never really did before. It's funny now, I'm speaking on my own podcast, but I never really listened to podcasts. And then randomly on Wednesday night, I just got this urge to listen to one. So I opened up my phone and I started looking for a podcast. But something that I kept noticing in my life at this point was I kept noticing words. Like certain words kept popping up everywhere and I kept seeing them in like different places. And one of the words that really stood out to me was the word doubt. So as soon as I saw a podcast called Moving Through Doubt, I felt really called to listen to it. So I clicked it. So in this podcast, she's talking about integrity. And I thought that was important. Like I thought, I have integrity. I think it's important to have integrity. But what is integrity? I wanted to actually get like a definition of what it is to understand it better. So I took a second to Google what integrity was. And part of that definition said moral. And again, I thought, it's important to have good morals. I should have good morals. I do have good morals. What are morals? So again, I Googled that word. And as I Googled that word, part of the definition of morals was righteousness. And as soon as I saw the word righteousness, I remembered that that's what my name meant. There are 3 terms that my name meant, Bhavika, and one of them was righteous, but I couldn't remember what the other 2 terms were. So in that moment, as I'm lying there on my bed on a regular Wednesday night, I Googled my own name, Bhavika, and the 3 terms came up. And so the 3 terms my name means is 1, righteousness, 2nd was well-meaning, and the 3rd was cheerful expression. As soon as I read that, boom, right there in that very moment, my life changed forever. As soon as I read cheerful expression, something in me changed. It was like this pure burst of energy, this positive energy that just took over my body. It started in my head and went all the way down. It almost felt like I could float and my whole body was just like tingling from head to toe. I've never experienced anything like that before. I was literally just lying on my bed. And as soon as I read cheerful expression, this huge change took over me. But not just my body, but also my mind. My mind completely opened up to a new perspective. It was kind of like a veil or like the curtain had finally dropped and I could see clearly. It's as if I had like unlocked something within me. I felt connected to everything all at once. You know, in like movies or something where they show a moment where like something crazy happens, and they like zoom into the person's like eye and it takes them into like the galaxies and stars and the whole universe. That's kind of what it felt like. And so what I had learned afterwards is that this moment can be described as many different things. And some of the terms it can be described as a spiritual awakening, or connecting to God, or aligning with source energy, or vibrationally aligning, a moment of enlightenment, transcending the 3D reality, connecting to infinite intelligence, a moment of presence, in so many different ways, depending on whatever it is that you believe in. But to put it simply, I really believe that in that moment, I discovered who I truly was, all while Googling my own name. And so fast forward a little while later, I came to learn that what happened to me has actually happened to so many people around the world, not just right now, but even in the past. And that this is our truth, this is our true nature. And that in any moment, anyone who is meant to can have that same experience, where your whole life can change right then and there. And I describe this moment, this change, as my epiphany moment, or the aha or light bulb moment, the profound realization when it clicks, when the puzzle pieces finally come together. And what I truly wholeheartedly believe, and the reason why I started It's a Vibe and this podcast and my social media pages, the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I truly believe that a moment like that can happen to anyone at any time. It can happen to you. In any part of your day, you can have a massive realization or an idea or an epiphany that comes to you and changes everything. And so this is the first way I believe change comes. All of a sudden. Your life can change at any moment, at any time, in any place. You can meet that person. You can see a sign for something. You can get a phone call. You get some sort of news, some sort of information, and boom, anything can change your life in that moment. And the key to this is, and why I believed it happened to me, when it happened to me, and how it happened to me, was because I put myself in a state to allow that moment to come and happen to me. All things are state dependent. If you're low energy and tired and complaining, you're more likely to notice things at that same energy level, like obstacles or inconveniences. But if you're in a high energy state, your focus can be on opportunity or possibility. And I think that's what happened to me. Like at that time, I was just living my life, especially coming from like a low, and to get a little glimpse of feeling okay. And not just okay, but like I was actually happy. I had my cheerful expression on. I was present in the moment. I was paying attention to life, to the signs that life gave me. And I was following my curiosity with no expectations, just honestly happy, like happy to be there. And they always say that life happens in unexpected ways, and I believe change can be the same. When you least expect it, your life can completely change, especially when you're in a high energy state where you're welcoming it into your life. So the key is to put yourself in that state, in that high energy emotion, be present, pay attention to what's going on around you, especially what's going on in the moment, and then just let go of expectation and enjoy. Be happy and see what comes your way. A quote that really sticks out to me is, "It's received, not achieved." I heard Jay Shetty say this, that he learned this while he was a monk, while he was living as a monk. And this is something that as monks together that they would talk about. And this was like one of the main teachings he was taught while he was doing his practice. And so everyone, especially like in that environment where all monks are practicing, they're all looking to achieve or to get that moment of enlightenment. But it's not something you work for. It's something you put yourself into a position to receive. And so that is the first way I think your life can change. All of a sudden, when the time is right, you can have an epiphany, a light bulb, or an aha moment that changes everything. And it can just be in your regular day. It could even happen today after you listen to this podcast. Who knows? It's possible though. And miracles happen all the time. They're real, and they can happen to you any moment, anytime, any day. And so that's the first way. Change can happen all of a sudden, and really like magical, in a magical way. That's my personal experience. And so the second way, and the way that this story kind of displays how change can happen, is gradual. This one might not be as fun and exciting in the moment, but it's so important. This is the daily work. These are the habits you implement, the discipline and the consistency you practice. For example, if you go to the gym every day, if you go to the gym for one day, you're not going to see a change in your body right away. But if you go to the gym for 1 year consistently, when you look back, you will see and appreciate a big change. And that happens by the day-by-day life you choose. For me, when I was in that really dark place, I remember feeling as though every day was a struggle, but I knew that if I did not keep going, I would be stuck somewhere I didn't want to be. So every day I worked on learning how to feel better. I did things that helped me feel better, and I tried my best to stick to it. Was it hard? Absolutely. Were there days where I felt like I wasn't making any progress or even just going backwards? Of course. But change is the only constant. You either degrade or evolve, and the choice is yours. And so I feel like this is where most of us are at right now, especially if you're listening to this at the start of the year, in January or around New Year's time, where we all set these goals and have all these things we want to accomplish. If you want that change, it'll come if you just keep showing up for yourself. If you take those small habits, those atomic habits, and to eventually have it become something great. But it starts by the day-by-day practice. And so overall, if you want that change that you're really looking for, the ones that you set at the beginning of the year, or any goals that you have, it can happen in those two ways. Gradually, where you're putting in the work, where every day that you can, you're putting something into practice. You're creating a healthy habit. You're committing to something. You're staying disciplined about something. And that is in every moment, every day. And slowly by slowly, it compounds and it has a big effect where then a bigger change comes, which is the second way, all of a sudden, where all that hard work pays off and something magical, an opportunity, a person, an idea, an epiphany, anything can change your life in an instant. It's like that example of like trying to break a rock in half. You know, you hit it 99 times, nothing happens. That's the gradual where you think you're doing the work. You're every time you're hitting it as hard as you can. And then all of a sudden on the 100th, boom, the rock splits open. And that can happen to you. And they say like sometimes it feels like maybe it's not happening, and then all of a sudden it happens all at once, and then before you know it, you're in the middle of it. But that starts by you taking steps towards gradual change, and then boom, all of a sudden, everything can change in just a moment. And so the key is to just keep going and always leave yourself open to possibility, and be sure to use your awareness to stay focused on the good, to stay focused on possibility and opportunity, and to stay disciplined and keep yourself as much as possible in a high energy state where you can welcome the change that you want. This could be the year everything changes for you. This could be the month everything changes for you. This could be the week everything changes for you. This could be the day everything changes for you. You never know. So just stay positive, show up, keep your eyes open for the best that's yet to come. And I hope this is the year that everything you want comes your way and changes for the better. Thanks for listening, everyone. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you like that. That was such an important message to me, so I'm really excited to share it with all of you, because I wholeheartedly believe that in any moment your life can change, and that's exciting. So thanks for listening. If you like this podcast, please like, download, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really means a lot to me to see all your support. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram at It's a Vibe Movement. I would love to hear your thoughts and would just love to hear from you. So please don't be shy. And thanks again for listening. Appreciate you being here. And remember, you really are just one epiphany away. Peace and love.